Can we do an ASMR version?
No. Because I don't want to hear that.
Please?
Ouch, no.
I want to do it.
All right, we ready?
Yes.
Hi, welcome back to Regan's Rants and Raves. My name is Ellie. I'm your hostess with the mostest, and today we'll be bitching about, ranting, and raving about 2019's Midsommar. Now, if you have not seen it yet, please stop listening right now and go take care of that. But if you have seen it, sit back and relax as we talk about this horror show of a breakup story. Anyways, so for the first part of this, I kind of want to talk about something that just dropped this week, Friday. What day is it? The 20th.
Friday.
It dropped yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the It trailer. It Chapter 2. I am so fucking excited for this movie. So excited. The trailer looks fantastic. I cannot fucking wait. Does anybody have a date on that? I thought it was in October. It's October.
September. No, it's September.
It's September? Okay,
Yeah.
solid.
It's September 6th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is.
September 6th.
Just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like right around the fucking corner, and I'm
Yeah.
so hyped.
Oh yeah, I guess it is kind of a couple,
Or I guess like a month.
like a month and a couple
Yeah.
weeks away.
Yeah.
That's
Like
crazy
a
to
month
think.
and a half, but yeah.
Damn.
August
That's-
comes first.
This summer's
Yeah.
gone by too fast.
So what do we think of the trailer, my dudes?
Loved it.
Oh, I'm so hyped.
excited.
I was unsettled once again by Pennywise by that last little exchange he had at the end.
Was it the...
Well, just the way he was saying, like, I've dreamt of you for 27 years, I've
Yes.
craved you, I've
Yes.
missed you, and just... That immediately gave me goosebumps, and I'm
Bill-
excited
Yes.
for
Same
more.
with us.
Yes.
It's same as the first one when he's like, take it.
Yeah.
Like, that messed me up, so that part
Yeah.
of the trailer, I completely agree with that.
So
Yeah.
who thinks that they're going to do the suicide? That hand in there was the suicide. Did anybody see that? Does anybody know?
Oh,
so,
yeah,
so like
yeah.
in the original, where is it Stu? Is that
No, it's
that's-
Stan.
Stan? Okay.
Stanley
Stop.
Uris.
Where he like slits his wrist in the bathtub, and that hand, that bloody hand that's kind of dangling that we see in the trailer.
That would make the most
I
sense.
think that's
Yeah.
him, right? Yeah.
You guys aren't my friends anymore.
You haven't seen it, right? Because you don't watch trailers.
That's correct. I try to avoid trailers as much as I can. So the only... forgive me for wanting to go in with
No, I get it. It's
preconceptions.
fine.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's really admirable of you, actually.
I try my best. Whenever I see trailers, it's usually before a movie starts in the theaters, and I've only ever seen the first teaser from like a month or two
Yeah,
ago.
whenever, when Midsommar, like the opening, that was in it.
Yeah.
Not the one that just got released, but the previous.
Yeah.
The one
That
with the
one.
naked old lady.
Yeah, okay, so
Which
that...
was- oh my God.
That
Fantastic.
trailer... We were so excited for that trailer to come out because we had been waiting for anything to come about the It 2 trailer. And we were so excited to see that one. And I honestly think, like, I thought the second trailer was so good and so scary and, like, it got me really hyped for the movie. But at the same time, the first one just, like, had me creeped out as fuck.
It was more of a
Like,
slow build with the first one.
It was
Yeah.
Because it was
so-
that whole scene with
the
Beverly.
first trailer was so like
Hi,
creepy.
Georgie.
Oh, that opening scene for the... Anyways, we'll have an entire thing
Oh, yeah.
dedicated, like the,
Yep.
the
Whole
first
lot
one.
of
Yeah.
shit coming out for
Yeah.
that.
No, but
Keep,
the first trailer for It 2 was terrifying in like a quiet way. Like it was so scary, but
You're
it,
daddy's little girl, Beverly, aren't you? And she like fucking... the knees.
Yes.
The knees, I can't.
yeah.
Looking at her knees, I just cannot do
And
it.
the way
Um,
she
and
ran
I-
towards the camera really
Yeah.
messed me
Oh
up.
my
I
God.
feel like there's something about old ladies being naked that are running in front of the camera.
Which
I don't
is
know. I feel
creepy.
like there's always a thing about that, but the fact that I think the thing that creeped me out the most about that trailer in particular was I think she was saying something about death. I don't know. Something about her being dead, and she was like,
froze.
"Oh,"
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like 20-something seconds.
and then just
It's
totally froze and then just resumed the way that she was. That creeped me the fuck out.
Oh,
it also
was
kind of
not
made me
okay
laugh
with that.
too.
it did make me...
Yeah, but like I was not okay with that. Like it was so scary.
Yeah.
So I feel like the first trailer was definitely like a lot of just creep factor and like makes you feel very uncomfortable. And the second trailer was like, here's what we're gonna fucking scare the shit out of you with.
Here's
And I
more
just-
of the story without giving too much story away.
Yeah. And I just love how in these two trailers they've also brought back that sound that I don't remember if it was in the first like actual movie, but they used the wee 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 sound.
Yeah.
That they had all throughout the first.
scary.
Oh yeah, I
like
love that they
it.
keep bringing that
The
back.
wah pedal on the violin.
I hope that my sleep paralysis is just you in my corner of my bedroom doing that. And that's all that it fucking is. I don't know what it is. Thank you. I don't know what it is about horror movies. Like recently, been using naked old people as scare factor.
They're
but
scary.
It's working. It's definitely working. It's definitely freaking me out, and I'm so excited because I don't know if it's just because I've seen so many at this point. Horror movies, it takes a lot for it to actually jar me a little bit.
Oh, same.
And then the first one did compared to like the Tim Curry one. It just anyways.
Yeah.
Like that weird
made that.
walk.
Yeah.
That messed me up. You just see her in the background, and she just does this weird, like, creepy,
A little shimmy
kind of like
thing.
my gremlin walk, but way worse.
Oh yeah. that little shimmy that she does, you just see out of the
Yes.
corner of your eye. It took me to watch it the second time because I knew something was in the background. I just couldn't tell what it was. It took me watching it a second time on my phone and getting like really close to be able to tell that it was her naked in the background.
Yeah.
For those watching on YouTube, we're gonna have a link to Dustin doing the gremlin walk.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not
We are.
making sure anybody
We need
fucking
to
watches
show
that
the
ever.
world.
Anyways, so let's talk about Midsommar.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
just like from the opening, right off the fucking bat, I was immediately in love with it. That beautiful picture that it showed, I just can't. If anybody hasn't seen it, you really just want to stop listening right now because it's definitely worth, I think it's, in my opinion, it's definitely worth going to go see it. So, what I'm going to do is kind of go a little round table and talk a little bit about the movie. Alec, do you want to start first about your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So I was immediately excited by the first trailer I saw in a theater, just because Ari Aster was directing it. His only other previous feature, Hereditary, in my personal opinion, is one of the best horror movies of the past 20 years and one of the best movies just period of last year.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agree wholeheartedly.
That movie. Yes, really.
Let him speak, and then you can yell at him after.
That movie had such an effect on me. I can stomach a lot when it comes to horror. There are very few things that actually like stick with me or like leave me kind of that sort of fear element in my mind. And for the week after I saw Hereditary, I was having nightmares. I had one night with sleep paralysis, and I didn't think it was really connected to the movie, but the girl I was seeing at the time definitely did think that. So that movie had a profound effect on me, not just because of the horror element, but because it was just so good as a movie itself. So when I saw Aster was behind this new project that looked pretty decent, it had a really neat contrast to it with the really idealistic Swedish mountains and woods.
It was breathtaking.
Yeah, it's a
The
beautiful.
trailers that I've seen, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine what happens beyond.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful movie, and then it's contrasted with the horror elements that are in there that were only kind of hinted at in those trailers. So when I finally got to see the movie, it came out a few weeks ago, and Ellie and I just hauled ass down to the Alamo to catch the last showing we could.
Literally one of the last showings.
Yeah. It lived up to my expectations. And there was only one aspect of the movie that kind of disappointed me, but I'll get into that later. So just general thoughts, loved it. I feel like it could have been a little better in one respect, but it was great. I don't think it's resonated with me as much as Hereditary, so I think I like Hereditary a little bit more, but I do not regret spending the money to see this movie.
All right, Nick.
All right, so much like you said, Hereditary, when I first saw that movie, absolutely floored me. It takes a lot for modern-day horror films to really disturb me and to really just fuck me up and make me feel so radically different than when I first walked in.
Because we've seen it all at this point, so
Yeah.
it's very,
Yeah.
And that was just so new and so unique of a horror film to come out, and so just ballsy too.
Yeah.
I literally walked out of that theater and drove the 20 minutes it took to get back to my house just in utter silence. And I couldn't even bear to just like turn the radio up in my car or anything, just because I was so alone with my thoughts on that film, and it just messed me up. So much like how Jordan Peele was when he first did Get Out, Ari Aster became one of those directors for me with Hereditary, where just anything he makes from now on, I will immediately be there to see it. Like, he has reeled me in hook, line, and sinker for anything he does now for the future. And Midsommar was no exception. So, funny story, myself, Joel, who you saw in the Child's Play episode, who isn't here with us because he's sick.
Sick fuck.
Yes, he's a sick fuck. Him and I and two of our friends, we went to actually go see a really early morning showing of it. It was at like 9 a.m. in the morning that we went to go see it.
The best time.
Oh, of
People
course.
see movies at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did.
go?
And because that was just the one that could work the most for our schedule. So we were in there, and us four were the only ones in the entire theater. And thank God for that, because literally there were points within this movie that we just needed to speak out loud, to just kind of ground ourselves, to kind of just make sure that we were doing okay. Because honestly, the movie was kind of anxiety-inducing at points.
Definitely.
It really just kind of made me feel uncomfortable in the best way possible. Like, I wanted to keep seeing what was going on, and I wanted to stay with this story, and it was still just this really, really uncomfortable feeling that I had throughout, but I wanted to stay with it.
Yeah.
And that was just basically the entire movie, right from the get-go, from that opening scene, which I'm sure we'll get into. I was on the edge of my seat throughout practically the whole thing, and the movie's about maybe... It's like 2.5 hours long, isn't it?
No.
I don't think it's that long
No,
now.
actually, it isn't that long. It just felt that long, to be honest with you.
147. Okay, so it's 2 hours, 27 minutes. So
Yeah.
right about 2.5 hours.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. See, I was right.
I know, you were right. It was
but,
Crawl
like-
that's apparently like an hour and a half, which felt like
It was
a
even
year.
short. It was even shorter than that.
Anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, Midsommar was like a 2.5 hour film, but I was thankful for that. I felt like it really needed that long runtime because...
It takes its time.
Yeah, it takes its time, and the slow burn of everything just building up in this festival that's going on, it all felt really needed and necessary to just add to that uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And again, granted, we walked out of the screening, we were a little stunned by what we had seen. Not quite to the point as how I felt with Hereditary, but still a significant amount. And honestly, I don't know if it's the same one, but I also have one problem with the movie. I'm not sure if it's the same one as you, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But that kind of made me go, after it was finished, like, oh, okay. But other than that, I loved the hell out of this movie, and I feel like I would like to watch it again sometime. Maybe not soon, because I don't need to go through all that anxiety again.
Do you ever have those horror or movies in general where they were really, really good, but you going back, like, you don't have the desire to go back and watch it again? I kind of had that issue with Star is Born, and I feel like I'm going to have the same issue with this one. Just like, I really don't want to go... I've been through that heartbreak. We watched him die. It's the same thing with this. I don't know if I'll ever go back and watch it again.
And weirdly enough, that's how I felt about Hereditary. I thought it was fantastic, and when I watched it, I was floored. And I thought it was really great, but it was to the point where I don't think I would watch it again. I definitely would not watch it again in theaters, and I wouldn't buy it so that I could watch it again at home.
You have to watch it every now and again type movie.
Right, I wouldn't go and watch it again oh my god, that was so fucking good. I thought it was fantastic when I saw it in theaters, but I didn't really have a desire to watch it again soon.
Yeah, I totally...
It's understandable.
I totally get that.
That feeling where, it was really good. It's just that I don't
One of the few movies I've awarded like a perfect 10 out of 10 score was Prisoners by Denis Villeneuve.
That was a really good.
Fantastic
That's an
film.
amazing
I've
movie.
seen it.
Really hard to
But
find a Blu-ray for it.
I
Unfortunately.
don't think I can ever rewatch that movie. Like that movie, the only reason it had an R rating wasn't really because of the content, even though there is some really hardcore content. If you've seen that movie, it's the tone. The movie, Denis Villeneuve, makes you feel just as helpless as the parents in the movie who are just trying to get their kids back.
Because you put yourselves in the character's shoes, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god, what would I do if I was this person? And you really put yourself through the scenario, and having kids of our own,
Exactly.
it's like, oh my god.
So like
So- I'm gonna go off what you said because that's kind of how I felt with Danny's character in this. Okay, so it opens up with her that anxiety-ridden messaging her boyfriend a whole bunch of times because you're in the middle of in the middle of having a panic attack and you're bothering him, and it is that excruciating feeling of I'm a bother, I'm a bother, I'm a bother, and then her entire fucking family gets killed by her nutcase of a sister. Not really nutcase, but going
Bipolar,
through
yeah.
the bipolar, going through one of those moments. It's just, I felt Danny's pain the entire fucking time, and I think that's how it resonated with me the most, because I've been in her position with a boyfriend who just didn't give a shit, and who was just, it was on the very end of their relationship pretty much, and then her parents die, and then I think that's what extends their relationship a little bit more because he doesn't want to leave. Like, I don't think that Christian's necessarily a bad person, it's just that they weren't compatible enough.
Yeah, like there's a lot of relationship psychology in this movie. Like the movie's obsessed with psychology in general.
Which is my favorite kind of horror. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite kind of horror. The ones that really gonna fuck up your brain.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like the slashers and all that kind of fun stuff.
But this movie kind of
You're
lampshades
gonna take
that.
this home.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna think about this later.
Because like with psychological horror, that like a lot of the time that's more grounded in realism of just like this could happen to me. I mean, obviously some guy could slash you up and kill you and eat your insides and whatever. But
That's what I
This
plan to do to
happened,
you after
you
we're
know.
done here.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Num num num.
Yeah, I think that's why it's this kind of, at least for us, it seems, is especially effective, is because there is that pervading thought of like, this could happen in some form of reality.
In some form of way. Not that, I plan on going to Sweden tomorrow. But
I mean, some people could.
But it was just the mind fuck that Danny's going through, like, this
Oh, yeah.
entire time, up until the very end, where you see her in that smiling, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I murdered my boyfriend, it's great, everything is awesome.
Well, I think that was a fantastic thing that I was initially unsure of about the film, because, like, this was, I guess I'll get into this right now. The one problem that I had at first, which still kind of pervades, is like the ending felt a little abrupt, of just like, okay, that's it.
And that's it.
That's cool. But I do like what they were going for with that, because with that smile that Danny does at the end as she's watching her boyfriend and all of the other dead friends just burn, is that she's finally found this sense of belonging. Which I felt like was a major theme throughout the entire film, of just, she's lost her entire family, she feels alienated from her boyfriend and her friend and his friends, and that she just kind of feels like she doesn't belong anywhere, and now she's just going on this trip to just do something
That she wasn't wanted on anyway.
She
No,
wasn't
they didn't
wanted
want
on.
her there.
Like she was told
And then-
that she was wanted, but like she probably knew that she didn't.
No,
wasn't
that
wanted.
her
Yeah.
friends
Definitely
did not
knew
want
it.
her there.
Yeah.
But by the end of
But
it,
his friends didn't want her
she
there.
is she's the only one that's still living, and she's the May Queen now. Was that the term?
Yeah,
the May Queen, and she is now belonging in right here in this weird fucked up setting, and
It's
I just thought it was so good.
I did like that they really tried to understand these people's culture in the beginning.
Yeah, so like...
you were telling me a really neat point in the car that you had made.
Yeah, so this is like the one problem I have with the movie. So, anybody who's familiar, when you first saw the trailer, you may have gotten a really big, like, God, I'm forgetting the name of the movie now.
Wicker Man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big Wicker Man vibe from it. And apparently that was intentional.
Yeah.
Like, the movie, like, took a lot of inspiration from Wicker Man.
I mean, why
And
not? It is a fantastic, like, the original movie is very...
It's iconic.
Yeah.
And
And the remake is psychotic in its own right.
Yeah, it's something.
How did it
Anyway.
burn?
You bitches.
Not the bees.
You bitches.
But yeah, don't watch the remake. But
No, do watch
this,
the remake, please.
or
Have
do.
a laugh.
Yeah. But this, when we finally saw this, like it definitely seemed like a 2.5 hour loving homage to Wicker Man, and kind of a recontextualization of that story. The Wicker Man, the original at least, there's a lot of undertones about just cultural alienation in general. It's about a mainland, still an island nation, Britain, investigator going to this remote island with a population that's still steeped in pagan culture to investigate a missing person case. And the whole movie, this character is acting like he's above them because he's in the right religion and from the right culture, and completely seems to want to steamroll over this culture that's hosting him. So what was really interesting about this movie, about Midsommar, was it kind of put that protagonist view in the polar opposite. These are 20-something, what's the term, anthropologists?
Yeah.
Yeah, the study of humans and human cultures.
Well, I think they all had different majors, but they were all...
Most of them were anthropologists.
Yeah.
And then Danny, our protagonist, was a psychologist, who were going to this village, this commune, mostly because they were invited by their friend who comes from there, but also to write their thesis there. So it was really neat that when some fucked up shit starts happening, they're kind of checking themselves.
Feel like,
and
this is somebody else's culture.
Yeah.
Are we going to just take it in? Or
Yeah. So there's actually some ritual suicides near the beginning of the movie that are really horrific to the foreigners who were there and had no idea this was going to happen. But it's just normal for these people.
Yeah, it's just
it's an honor, in fact.
Yeah.
So, and it was this
And if they
fantastic
don't-
conversation between Christian and Danny when they're trying to regain themselves in their bed setting. Like Christian says, it's just their culture. Like we think it's fucked up, but they probably think it's fucked up that we put our elders in nursing homes.
Yeah.
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 So it was a really neat recontextualization of those.
It was a very neat 2019 way of thinking.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So kind of bringing me to my one big problem with the movie, it wasn't how abrupt the ending was. It was... So the twist, I don't know if you can call it a twist because I think anybody could have guessed it, was that all these, tourists and foreigners were supposed to be killed by the end of the movie by this commune because of their rituals, their midsummer festival, and it was all planned from the start, effectively. And I kind of took an issue with that because I thought, the way that they were going about it with the anthropological angle and the way that they were just framing this entire setting and these characters in this setting, I thought there would be a more original reason why the foreigners were going missing or dying. I thought it was going to be
That they
because
weren't all there for sacrifice?
Well, I thought it was going to be because they were offending the culture that they were being hosted in. Because they were pissing on the ancestral tree and reading the scriptures.
That's what I thought was happening at first.
At first, that's what I thought. They were just killing them off because they had fucked them over in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't being respectful of their host culture.
And they took it really seriously.
Yeah, but then
As
it
you
turns
would.
out...
Say you go outside and pee on an American flag.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a bunch of people who are there to watch.
But then it turns out that it was all just a planned ritual sacrifice from the start.
Yeah.
And it just kind of... It's a good movie.
I mean, I'm kind of okay. That's what makes it a horror... I think that's what does make it a horror movie, because if you look at it, storyline-wise, it's more so a drama and a thriller than a horror movie. I think those ritualistic deaths are what make it put it into that category.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're used to senseless... I don't know.
Yeah, but...
I was okay with it.
I was kind of okay with it too. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think it would have been a more original idea. To
Alec, your
just
feelings
have,
are valid.
Yeah, they are.
It's just. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I agree with you. But I also don't agree with you.
Thank you.
Just of like, I wasn't bothered by the fact that it was all like just planned from the beginning, because in that respect, it's just kind of weird. It's kind of an off-putting thing to think of just like, oh, so they were fucked from the beginning. Like, no matter what, there was no way they were getting out of this.
And so that's kind of brings me to a weird point of, do you think Danny being there, like, how planned was it? How planned was it?
Yeah. Like with,
So, like...
with the Swedish friend that was with them.
Exactly. What if I found out this interesting theory online, what if he was the one who did that to her parents? Because he had this kind of plan all along. Because he had kept her in, like, his, like, had her in mind because she had seemed perfect for this. That her and Christian's relationship was dwindling out. Maybe he had fallen in love with her. Like, he kisses her at that weird moment.
Yeah.
After the May Queen stuff. Maybe it was planned from the get-go. Because imagine if you look at the sister. So, I don't know if people who haven't seen this, who might be still watching, she had audio asphyxiated, or is that what you want to call that?
Asphyxiation, yeah.
Well,
it wasn't erotic.
I don't think it was erotic.
erotic.
I mean, she could have finished. I don't know. I wasn't there.
We don't know these things.
Your mustache
To do that to yourself with something like the car going, imagine getting yourself up to the bedroom. You would have probably passed out before any of that had happened. I don't know. It could have totally. I see that theory being something really neat. Granted, we'll probably never know if that theory's true.
I don't know. I feel like that theory kind of takes away from the movie a little bit. Like, what was so fantastic about that initial setup, that event, was how it affected Danny and how it was based entirely in the psychology of those characters we only saw in the first few minutes.
Yeah.
So I think if that theory has any ground, I think it kind of takes away from it.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I think it was a neat theory that somebody came up with online, though.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely interesting whenever I was reading it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think about it at all. Like, what if it had been the entire thing had been planned? I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Like, it's not like that culture, that fictional culture, isn't like above like conspiring with the girl. Yeah. But
and the parents and the whole thing.
But just like the love potion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Also, with Danny, wouldn't you have just showed up at the house? If you had that much of a, oh my god, bad shit's going on, why didn't you just go there if you were that worried?
Well, was it established, like, were they close by?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I was under the impression, like, when it was happening, that it was from a while, like, maybe they were cross-country.
I don't
like,
know.
in a different part of...
Did they mention that?
I don't think they did.
Well, it was
but
also
just
that the sister, had a history of, like, just...
doing this kind of stuff. Or just saying, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself, and then you cry so much, you cry wolf so much.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think that, like, she didn't go over there because they were living so far away, because I feel like if that's the case, then that just adds to the feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Danny must feel in that opening
she
scene.
can't get there,
where
can't afford
there's
to get there or something.
Literally nothing she could do at this point.
But, man, that theory was definitely really, it kind of rocked me a little bit in my whole thought process with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely really liked this movie.
Yeah.
And it's a lot for newer horror and me. We don't get along that well, just because there are so many greats, and I feel like a lot of people are stealing from those greats. Granted, they even came right out and said that that's, Wicker Man had something to do with the making of this movie and stuff like that. And I don't...
It's one thing for something to be inspired by another horror movie, and another thing to be, like,
just
directly
rip it away
from it.
It's just that...
Child's Play.
Like, with that problem I had, like, I was hoping that it would take inspiration from another classic horror movie from the 70s, I believe, Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah, like, the big thing about that movie is contextualization of culture.
Yeah.
As well. Like, the film crew gets Cannibal Holocausted because they disrespected the culture that they were filming.
Yeah.
Like, they burned, like, the huts and stuff for no reason other than they were, foreigners who were white and Christian and therefore better than the tribe.
So moral of the story is don't piss on a sacred tree and you won't get skinned.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. So like I was just kind of
Keep that in mind, Will Poulter.
Thank you.
Well, it already happened.
but no, like art and art is just like science and really anything else in the world. You know, you build on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
So building off of The Wicker Man and other horror movies, just building off of ideas from previous movies. It's not uncommon. That's any movie out there, really, any piece of art. You know, you're always being inspired by something else and thinking, what can I do with this idea? What can I zero in on, and what can I maybe do better?
So I do have a couple questions.
Yes.
So a lot of them we actually already did kind of answer because we tend to do that a lot.
Yeah.
So, because one of them was how planned do we think Danny was, Danny being there was? Like how planned out was this whole conspiracy, which we already kind of talked about. So what category would you put this movie in? Thriller, drama, horror? Which one? Because there's a lot of questions about that. I had a lot of questions about that because when I looked at it, I think it's more thriller.
Man.
Like dramatized thriller, I guess, maybe what you would call it.
Do you read my entire novel about, the concept of genre? Or
I hate you.
No, it's something I have thoughts on in general a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so take it back to like Shakespearean times. You had
Jesus,
like
here we go.
Yeah, no, but like
I'm just kidding.
everything was either a comedy or a drama, and it was based on the outcome of the characters, whether they got what they wanted or not.
Yeah.
If they got what they wanted, it was a comedy. If they didn't get what they wanted, it was in a drama.
Yeah.
And you could have funny dramas, and you could have like sad comedies. But then people learn that writing is something that everybody can do, and you start seeing these tropes pop up in certain stories, and that develops what we understand now as genre. So horror, it's got to make you feel afraid. It's got to introduce an element of the unknown that you have to be afraid of, and there's a lot more that goes into that. So I feel like with this particular movie, the drama of the breakup story and the horror kind of share the stage equally.
Okay.
Because I think what I think the director was going for, and just building off of what I thought he was going for with Hereditary, like Hereditary I think was the horror of grief, the horror of mourning, and I loved seeing him revisit that in the first act of this movie. But I think
her gut-wrenching, screaming,
Exactly.
crying
No, yeah.
pain.
Exactly.
And he's just holding her, not knowing what the fuck to do. Because what are
yeah.
you supposed to do?
Exactly.
It wasn't your parents. It wasn't your sister. You have no idea, but just to comfort the person you
and also
love.
you don't even really like her.
No,
Yeah.
and then it's a weird situation to put the boyfriend in of, we're about to break up, but
But then
Never mind.
But
Like,
yeah,
literally,
you're not
it was-
going to do
they
that
were
to her.
talking
Yeah.
about it before that all happened, and now he's just here, like just trying to, however unwilling he might be, he's comforting his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you can see the look in his eyes, just like he doesn't know how to go about this. And
Because would you? Would you know what to do if you were in a situation like that?
no.
Exactly. So I think this movie was I think the idea of it was, and I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, and it's one of those movies you need to rewatch over and over and over again too. I think it was about the horror of feeling alienated with somebody you're supposed to be close to. It's the horror of falling out of love. It's the horror of a breakup.
It is that's what the director even said, because
Yeah.
I've been obviously sitting there day and night. Whenever we prepare for these podcasts, I sit there and listen to as many interviews as I can, listen to other people's thoughts, all that kind of stuff, because I like to make sure that I have a lot of research going into these things. And
Yeah.
that's what the director had even said, is that this is it's not necessarily a horror movie. It's a fucking breakup movie that's going to take you through some shitty things. And aren't all breakups pretty horrific
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
They can be ugly.
Yeah. So what do you think?
honestly, I don't have a whole lot to add because I kind of share the same thought with you. I think the drama is the horror. And
Yeah.
just immediately, like, right from the get-go, what we see in that opening scene, from the sister killing herself and her parents to just the blood-curdling scream from Danny, and just what's his name, Christian, trying in whatever way he thinks he can, even if he doesn't know it, to comfort her. It's just that image itself of just the slow zoom in of them on the couch, that's a horrific image.
Oh, him just holding her while she's shaking, because what else are you supposed to do?
And I think what you were saying, like, the definitions of horror, like, what does it do to you? Does it make you fear the unknown? Does it make you feel a certain way? That image, right from the get-go, I'm saying that term a lot tonight.
It's fine.
It horrified me, and it made me feel, it gave me mad anxiety, and that was the perfect setup for the rest of the film. So
again, like that, I loved that first that scene in that first act, because he captured that emotion so masterfully in his previous film, Hereditary. Ari Aster does not shy away from the ugly side of emotions, from the ugly side of grief and mourning. It is ugly. It is gross. It is painful.
And he portrays it
exactly, like he holds your head to it and doesn't let you look away.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. Like, he literally holds on these things, like the shot from Hereditary of, I don't want to. Should I spoil anything? Like, I assume
how long has the movie been out now?
A year, and I assume anybody who's watching this far has seen Hereditary.
Spoilers.
The shot with Charlie's head on the ground being consumed by the ants, just the hold on that shot, and you hear Toni Collette's agonizing scream throughout that entire thing. Like, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific, and that stays with you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what was going on in this movie was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, it's a little... honestly, I think it's not that simple to classify it as either a horror or a genre.
Isn't it a good thing? Isn't it a good thing that horror is getting out of the box that it was put in?
Oh, yeah.
It's a fantastic thing.
That we have so much of a wide range of things compared to what not that the 80s didn't give us beautiful things that we love, but it's just like how far we're progressing when it's coming to like this kind of horror.
Oh, yeah.
When it's something you are going to definitely take home, because these are things that have probably happened to you.
Yeah.
Especially with the breakup, not about everybody going to Sweden and getting, I don't know if it's happened to you, but
it happens every
weekend.
Week.
Yeah.
every weekend I go get sacrificed.
I'm going to do it tomorrow, actually.
Let's all go.
I don't want you guys to die. Well, most of you.
But I do definitely think that we're going in the right direction with horror movies like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very pleased.
I agree, and I think with the way that old horror movies are, they're very, like the slasher movies and things just being so, like, far-fetched. Mm-hmm. But now, with newer horror movies, that they're kind of targeting them a little bit more towards mental illness. They're targeting them towards maybe, like, Satanism or, like, religious things that are, like, scary to people in this actual day and age. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much, oh my gosh, it's this slasher film that's so crazy and so scary. It's real things. I feel like the horror industry is starting to target more real things that scare real people.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a really cool thing with Hereditary, was it showed a lot of, the mental illness and the grieving and all of these things. So I think the horror industry is moving in the right direction because it's focusing more on real people things in real life. And I feel like people get more scared about real things.
Yeah.
Because it's not so, oh, well, I don't have to worry about that because, it's just fantasy, it's just fiction. It's scary because it's real.
Yeah.
So I feel like the horror industry is definitely going in the right direction with that kind of thing.
I really agree with you a lot there. But I think it's something that the horror industry, and not all of the industry, but the best of the industry, has been doing forever, in my belief.
Not the Annabelles of the industry is what you're telling me.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, take it back to the slasher films of the 80s. Like, there was a reason those were so popular, why those were so successful, is because that was a fear of that time. Like, coming out of the cult stuff from the 70s, and, like, the Charles Manson murders.
Which?
Like Halloween is Stranger Danger.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, that's letting your kid go to a camp and like just really being afraid that somebody's going to hurt them because they're not there.
Too.
Yeah.
Or it's also the same thing. We had this conversation in the car. It's the same thing with Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
With you let my baby go through these things, and this is the reaction of a mother that you abused her fucking kid.
Yeah.
And she's done. And
Yeah.
she's going out. These are things that can happen. I can imagine if you fucking killed my kid and he drowned, I would fucking snap.
Yeah.
As anybody would. It's normal. It's a normal reaction.
So
Yeah.
like,
It's also totally normal for a burnt up guy with a leathery glove to come into your dreams.
Hey.
but that
Slash you
also
around.
had a societal fear based in it. Like he was,
He was a pervert.
He was
You
a child
couldn't go to
murderer.
sleep.
yeah,
Yeah, you
That was
couldn't-
the whole thing.
exactly.
Something you're naturally supposed to do, you couldn't.
And we don't know
that's
why.
What,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then the same thing you talked about religion. The fucking Exorcist, man, rocked everybody. It
Yeah.
rocked an entire group of people. And it's just these things that people are going to carry with them forever. I don't know. It's just... And then modern horror, which... So I love the directions that we're going in. But I do wish... Annabelle. I do wish that we would be also getting away from the shit that's already been done. It's over with. It's
Yeah.
had...
Horror doesn't come from jump scares. That's what I'll say.
Not that it won't make you piss your pants if you're drunk seeing it in a movie theater, but...
Like I want to
Can
see.
I?
Go
That's
ahead.
not horror though.
So I don't know if you guys. I hope you guys have seen this movie, but one of my favorite horror movies has been Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland.
I actually haven't seen that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have seen it? So basically, there's this guy, and he goes into an abandoned mall, and the mirrors in there are haunted or possessed by these spirits. It's a whole thing. But I thought that was a really great take on just kind of a different kind of horror movie. It was really scary, and I thought it was terrifying. But it wasn't the same thing as everything I had ever seen in terms of horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't seen something like this before. Obviously, we saw it in Wicker Man, but I do think that this is definitely for a modern audience.
It's also even though it takes a lot of inspiration from Wicker Man, it's a very original idea.
It is.
Yeah. Like that's
And
that's what we want.
And
We wanna
everyone
see
knows I'm
original
obsessed
ideas.
with all the pagan occult crap.
Yeah.
I was there from the very beginning. I was there from the first fucking trailer, and I'm like, oh, this is right up your bitch's alley. And also, the lead actress was in Fighting with My Family. Fighting
Yeah.
with My
Yeah,
Family.
she was.
Yeah, she played Paige.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So
I
I
really
also,
wanted to see that.
as soon
movie,
as I
but
saw her in it, I was immediately ready to go.
She was fantastic. in
Oh
both
my
movies,
god,
yeah.
she was fantastic.
she's
For a WWE
she's-
movie, it was pretty perfect.
This is the only movie I've ever seen her in, and she struck me as a more talented Jennifer Lawrence.
I love that about you.
Wow. That's not inaccurate. That's not inaccurate.
It's not that
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like Jennifer Lawrence either. It's just that that's not. That's
I mean,
not too
it's-
far fetched.
Yeah, compare the performance in this film to her performance in Mother, and it's like,
I did not like Mother, but that'll be another episode of its entirety.
oh, I mean, I don't know. I still don't know how to feel about Mother, but
It was definitely something. Okay,
just they're very similar. We'll get into that later.
thank you.
Yes.
So I want to know everybody's favorite scene and why.
Ooh. Favorite. Define favorite.
So like the one that stuck out to you the most out of this movie.
The suicide scene for
Oh,
me.
man.
Just the one
Which
shot.
one?
The
Which one
first
would you technically categorize that as a suicide?
I mean, it's 2 homicides and 1 suicide, so I think the homicide.
I meant the cliff.
The cliff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
okay.
that one immediately sticks out in my mind to me because that was really the turning point moment for all of us who were sitting in this theater. The shot where after the impact, the first body is falling off the rock, and you see their entire face is just gone. Just an entire hole is just cut out.
Because it was
that
such a
was-
smash against the rock.
Yeah,
Yeah. They didn't do a flip though, so I don't know.
I hate you.
I understood
What
that
is this, the
reference.
fucking Olympics? Thank you.
No, it's supposed to be Futurama.
Swan dive.
Thank you.
No, that scene. That's what immediately sticks out. I don't know if I'd categorize it as my favorite, but
It stuck out to you the most out
it's
of everything.
immediately. If I were to go by something that was my favorite scene, then honestly, it would just be, like we said before, just the one zoom-in shot of Christian and Danny on the couch, and like she's just shaking, and he's trying.
The most emotional.
That was just. I think there was the most to that one shot.
Yeah.
That just immediately.
It said a lot without having to say anything.
Yeah, which I love.
Show don't tell. Yeah, virtual screenwriting, and that was my answer too. So fuck you.
Beat you to the punch.
Yeah, you did, yeah, dick.
You passive aggressive bitch.
Shows me for eating a pizza roll. No, that was. If I have to pick one scene, that's my favorite. It's that scene from the first act, just because I loved seeing Ari Aster revisit what made Hereditary so memorable for me.
So are you talking about, he's talking about the cliff, off the cliff. You're talking about are you talking about finding the parents?
Yeah, you did end on that one, right?
Yeah, that's what I ended on as like probably my favorite. Not the one that immediately stuck out in my mind.
Okay.
Because that was the cliff one, but yeah, in terms of like
because
my
both of
actual...
them were technically suicides.
Well, yeah, and both were horrifying.
In different contexts.
In different ways.
Yeah.
Very different ways.
I think the first one, at the very beginning of the film, I felt like just everything that was told within that scene and that shot with so little dialogue, little to none, I thought was fantastic and just so impressive.
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene was actually them going on like the May Queen journey, because you're actually seeing Danny start to like come out, and you're starting to kind of like feel her go into her own little thing. And then what I also really did like was after he was done, seducing that child redhead.
I don't think he was the one seducing.
I think it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea. Would you? I don't know what you would
pretty
count.
unwilling throughout the entire. Well, unwilling but not willing to do anything about it.
I don't know what you categorize that as. But it was whenever he leaves, he runs out of there naked, which was great, flopping penises around, awesome. Mm-hmm. He runs out, and he goes into that shed, and you fucking see the guy hanging.
Like his lungs are like strung out.
Yeah.
And he's still breathing. I think visually that was whenever he gets underneath of him and looks up.
Yeah.
I think visually that was my favorite thing. I think my favorite scene for Danny was the May Queen part.
Definitely.
And not that I didn't like both of those, because the suicide was shocking. The first suicide was shocking, and then the jump, which I knew what was going to happen anyways. As soon as I saw them sit down, I'm like, okay, from what they referenced before, like when they talked about, is it 72 or 73? I don't remember like the age he said.
72.
72?
Yeah.
When they turn 72, that's when his life just kind of, I don't remember what she had said, but then he makes that motion, and then they're all sitting there, and then you see them come last and sit down at the table, and everybody else sits down.
And they do the weird breathing thing.
And then you kind of see the looks on their faces. I'm like, oh, okay, something's going to happen. I didn't know if that was going to be the way that it happened, but I knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, I was wondering if
something ritualistic.
Like once they got to the cliff, I kind of thought it was going to happen, but I was kind of hoping that it would kind of be a bait and switch of sorts, or maybe Ari Aster was really playing on our preconceptions for that kind of setting, and he was really drawing out the tension in that for the release. So it was
the smacking of her hitting off the rock.
Yeah,
that's what was just like, holy
that image will
shit.
stay in my mind forever.
Yeah. Oh man, it was neat, and I really did like that. Whenever you got the close up of her, normally in horror movies you can kind of see the ridges and I don't know how to necessarily explain it. You can see the makeup, and you can see. It didn't look that fake.
Oh no, not
it
at
didn't
all.
look as fake. I didn't stare. I wasn't able to stare at it long enough. Probably if I got an image up and was able to like pick out all the creases. Same thing I can pick out a wig a mile away, but that's just me because I'm used to it.
As for that makeup and special effects, like what really stuck out to me in that scene was the man's broken off leg, and like you can see the toes are still like twitching inside his shoe.
Yeah.
That was great.
And how they came and all bashed his head in.
Yeah.
Oof. Could you imagine
like
surviving that? Could you imagine going off of a cliff and surviving?
I wonder if like that was also part of the ritual, that the woman had to die immediately, but he like penciled down.
Yeah.
Where she like swan dived. So I wonder if that was part of the ritual.
I mean, she did it the smart way.
Like they had that sledgehammer ready, but I don't know if it was because of the just in case or this is how it's supposed to be.
No idea.
Yeah.
You won't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean-
He might have said it in an interview, maybe. But
I think that's great that you never know because it leaves it up to.
it was the same thing with
like
that.
this.
It was the same thing with that theory. I have no fucking idea. He could have that all could have totally been planned out.
Yeah.
We have
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea. So I also have a favorite character and why.
Will Poulter because he's Will Poulter.
Thank you.
No, I'm
Anyways,
just
It's
kidding.
those eyebrows.
Yeah,
I think
the angriest looking happy dude in Hollywood.
I think my favorite character, besides I really liked Danny, was Pele.
Pele, their
Pele?
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked one. I just liked the way that he carried himself. I felt everything that was coming out of his mouth was genuine.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's what made it also kind of horrifying. Was that from the very beginning, I felt like Danny was gonna be okay throughout the entire movie. I think it was because of the way that he was talking to her. Because I don't think he was dishonest, really, with her
No,
at
never.
any point in time.
Yeah.
And I really felt that with his character. That was just brilliant acting on his part. I really liked him. He stuck out the most to me besides Danny.
Who really stood out to me besides Danny and Christian, and I don't know the name of the character, but the anthropologist who was already doing his thesis on like the cultures of Europe.
He's on this show with Kristen Bell. It was the guy that I really liked. Is that we were talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really stood out. Like the writing throughout this movie for every character is so fantastic. It's so steeped in the psychologies of the characters. But just I loved how genuine this particular actor was with his performance. Like he seemed like an actual person who would call you out on your shit if you did something shitty.
He's
like
a really
steal your
brilliant
thesis.
actor.
Yeah,
I highly recommend watching The Good Place. It has nothing to do with horror, but he's in it.
Yeah.
He's a really brilliant
It's
actor.
horrifyingly good.
Wow, that was a lot to say. Anyways.
I've never even seen it, so that was a complete shot in the dark.
Anywho, but yeah, I really liked. I almost said him, just because I love him as an actor. But again,
Yeah.
I stay with my choices.
I thought he was one of the strongest actors in here, so his character really stood out to me.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's weird to say. I don't know if I have a favorite character because I was more fascinated to watch these characters just with what they were
all
doing.
so different.
And they were all distinct. And if I had to pick one that I was the most interested in watching, it was probably Christian. Just because
Okay.
I was really fascinated by this conflict that he had from the beginning of the film all the way through, where he is sort of trying to look after Danny even when taking her on this trip with them, but at the same time, like it's clear he doesn't want to be in this relationship, and he feels he's sort of trapped in there, and he's kind of funcking within that conflict.
Have you guys
That's
ever
a-
been in that position before?
Yes.
Have you ever done that to somebody? Like led them along like that? Because I know I have. Where I knew the relationship was kind of not great, but I didn't want to be the one to cut that cord.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So have I.
I can't say I've ever led anyone along.
Not like that.
It's not a fun thing to do.
I believe
You feel
it's
bad
not.
about it later.
No, you feel awful about it, and it's just because you loved them at one point in time. So it was just kind of like, maybe, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I empathize with both characters. I've been Danny before, and that's what rocked me the most. So I feel like having those experiences, I'll never ever do that to somebody again. If I feel like I'm out of love, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull out. But like. I think that the emotional part with the two of them really resonated with me, and the fact that she was the one who she picked him to go was pretty. That was a ballsy fucking move.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that.
Good for her. Good for her.
Like it's such a weird thing to be like, yeah, get it, bitch, but like you just sent somebody for sacrifice. But I don't know. I really, really wanted her to like.
Speaking of which, quick note: when she's like, you know, she does find that sense of community and belonging. So it's a really weird character arc. But when she's like, you know, screaming along with the villagers in that huge flower dress, I was getting some really big Tusk vibes from that.
The shape.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yeah.
just the shape and the way she was moving, because it doesn't look like she can really move in it. Yeah. Just quick side note.
Oh, another little scene that I'll just add in here because we're running out of time. But I'll just add is where they're all screaming with her in pain on the floor.
Yeah.
I felt like that was whenever the sense of community really got in there with her. Like, she felt safe.
Yeah.
And, like, she could really...
To really just break down.
She could really break down in front of them, and they're going to empathize with her. And it's not like she doesn't feel like a burden.
It's the first time she breaks down in front of anyone.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire movie.
Except, I mean, she did with Christian at the very beginning.
In the very beginning, but like after
before she
that,
even going
But in
away
this
because
time
she wouldn't be
where,
a
like,
bother.
yeah.
In this flash forward time where they're actually going on the trip and it feels like she's trying to recover from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that she allowed herself to really just break down and cry with these people that she doesn't even know.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that really says something.
It does. Okay, so I do have one trivia question that we can get to, and then we're going to give our Screaming Peach rating.
Okay.
So Simon in the film was that one scene that I really, really liked. Mm-hmm. So Simon in the film was found alive by Christian towards the end of the movie. He was put into a torture position. What type of torture position was this called, and where, which clan of people originated it?
Well, he was like the dude in Event Horizon.
I want to, yeah, wow. I want to say that I have no idea about the name, but if I'm just going to throw out Butterfly, maybe has something to do with it.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the Vikings.
Okay, so you did get the Vikings right.
Okay.
It's called the Blood Eagle.
The Blood Eagle.
The Blood Eagle.
That is fucking metal.
Isn't that fucking badass? I feel like we should start a band just to use that.
Blood Eagle.
Oh my god! And that, yeah, this was a real torture.
Blood Eagle.
This was a real torture position that was apparently used a lot. Yeah, so that's actually pretty neat. Anyways, so I'm gonna go around and we're gonna talk about our Screaming Peach rating, and then we're going to have to mix skedaddle.
Okay.
I like Burger King skedaddle.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Oh, you just like to have it your way, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Anyways,
With my girl Wendy.
why don't Alec? You want to give your Screaming Peach rating?
I am going to give it a. Man, it's. I'm going to give it a really strong 8 out of 10. Screaming Peaches. I loved this movie. I wish. I feel like it could have been better in some ways, but unfortunately doesn't resonate with me as much as Aster's previous film. But it's so good. You guys are really missing out if you don't see it.
Honestly, I would go for a 9. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I loved practically every second of this film and the way it made me feel. Granted, not quite as much as Hereditary, and it's kind of, this was a thing I experienced with Jordan Peele's Us this year, where it was like his first film was just so fantastic, and
the sophomore effort,
the sophomore effort, you have no choice but to compare it to that one, and in some respects, it kind of pales in comparison. But I feel like Midsommar was stronger than Us in that regard, and I loved every second of it, and. It's a Blu-ray buy for me, so that's my highest compliment I could give a film. So
apparently not a lot of people liked this movie.
That's not surprising.
No.
Not a lot of people liked Hereditary.
Like, this one...
Which really surprised me, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a matter of mismarketing for a lot of it.
But...
So I have a quote here. Don't let the studio manufactured hype fool you. This is a Midsummer's matinee bore.
Oh.
Somebody went... I found that one, and it kind of made me giggle.
Studio manufactured hype. This is probably the same asshole who will go see the Lion King remake. Fuck you.
Hey, I'm seeing the Lion King remake tomorrow.
I mean, I am too, but I'm doing it under protest.
I hate you.
Wow.
I hate me too.
So I give this an 8 out of 10. I like this better than Hereditary.
Okay.
I did. I think it resonated more with me.
That's fair.
Not like watching Hereditary, the grief didn't get me.
Yeah, we've all been through grief.
Yeah. Violent grief.
Yeah.
Yes. It's awful. And I don't know, it was just this one resonated more with me.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the story a lot better. It's just I liked it a lot more than Hereditary. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. Okay. That's it. Thank you so much for visiting with us, listening to us bitch. Mostly, we actually didn't bitch a lot in this one.
We
we actually
really
liked
didn't.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
yeah.
wasn't as much conflict with this one of opposing views.
I went on my spiel about what I didn't like, but other than that,
There was a lot of things that I.
Briefly touched on the
Yeah,
ending.
there was a
Yeah.
lot of things that I. Yeah.
yeah.
I loved it.
This
I
was
actually
no
had a really
child's
good
play.
time. I actually had a really good time. Well, thank you guys so much.
Laters.
Thank you for listening to a Peaches and Scream podcast. My name is Ellie, and please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe.